I know I look a mess, but I just want to say thank you. Like, really thank y'all. Like, for real. Like, I'm so thankful. I'm really thankful. Like, and everybody keeps saying go. Like, I was working out. I'm like, dang, doing this every day though. And I keep praying, like, God, please give me, like, restore my lungs. Cause, you know, I've been smoking a lot. I don't smoke no more, but, you know, you can just feel, like, the difference. I'm like, Lord, restore, like, please. Like, I just been praying.
This wasn't just a live stream. This was emotional arson in real time. Because the second Chrisean Rock saw Blueface sitting there, smiling, laughing, and vibing with Jaidyn Alexis like it was family game night, the internet felt the temperature spike. Phones got hot. Timelines froze. Spirits left bodies. This wasn't awkward, it was diabolical. You know that feeling when you accidentally open a story you should not be watching, but you physically can't look away. Yeah, that times 10. This was the kind of moment where the universe whispers, "Don't do it," and chaos screams, "Hit record." Blueface and Jaidyn popping up together wasn't random. It wasn't innocent. It was given calculated, sprinkled with just enough we're and bothered to make it sting. And Chrisean, oh, she clocked it immediately. Because nobody knows Blueface's playbook better than the woman who survived it. What happened next wasn't a reaction, it was a detonation. The vibes flipped. The energy shifted. The calm evaporated. And suddenly, this wasn't about a live stream anymore. This was about pride, pain, power. And a situation so messy it makes reality TV look scripted. Stay locked in because once Chrisean snapped, there was no rewind button. It always starts quietly. Too quietly. One random notification. One casual scroll. One blink and you miss it moment that ends up detonating an entire internet ecosystem. And this time, the spark wasn't even subtle. It was Blueface and Jaidyn Alexis popping up live together like they were hosting a backyard barbecue, smiling like nothing in the world had ever gone wrong. No tension. No awkwardness. Just vibes. The kind of vibes that feel harmless unless you know the history. And everybody knows the history. Because this triangle isn't just messy. It's historical mess. Textbook chaos. A Harvard case study in emotional turbulence. Chrisean Rock didn't just date Blueface. She lived inside a never-ending highlight reel of breakups, reconciliations, public arguments, viral meltdowns, and moments so loud they became memes before they finished happening. Their relationship wasn't private enough to heal or public enough to resolve, it just hovered in that cursed middle ground where everybody has an opinion and nobody has peace. So when Blueface went live with Jaidyn Alexis, people knew immediately this wasn't accidental. This wasn't two co-parents just chatting. This wasn't we're mature adults now. This was a statement, whether they said it out loud or not, and Chrisean saw it. Now, let's be clear, this wasn't some random ex getting jealous. This was a woman who had just given birth, still navigating postpartum emotions, public scrutiny, and a fanbase that treats her life like episodic content. Emotions already running on red. Patience already on life support. And then boom, there's Blueface, relaxed and laughing with the one woman the internet loves to use as her comparison point. That's not salt in the wound. That's lemon juice, hot sauce, and a flashing neon sign saying look. The comments exploded instantly. People weren't even pretending to be neutral. Half the chat was screaming stand up. The other half was typing popcorn emojis like this was WrestleMania. Screenshots flew faster than common sense. Clips were reposted before the live even ended. This wasn't just content, it was fuel. And Chrisean's silence? Oh, that was louder than any scream. Because if you followed her long enough, you know the pattern. When she's quiet after something like this, it's not calm. It's loading. Like a storm buffering at 99%. The kind of pause that makes you check your phone battery because you know something's about to drop and you don't want to miss it. People started speculating immediately. Was she hurt? Was she angry? Was she spiraling? Was she plotting? The internet played emotional bingo, projecting every possible reaction onto her before she even opened her mouth. And let's be honest, some folks weren't concerned at all. They were entertained. Because nothing pulls views like unresolved trauma in HD. Then came the first signs of movement. A post here, a cryptic comment there. Nothing direct, but definitely pointed. The energy shifted from confusion to anticipation, like the music cutting out right before the beat drops. Fans knew she'd seen the live. There was no way she hadn't. Blueface doesn't breathe online without it reaching her timeline in under 60 seconds. And the thing about Chrisean is, she's never been good at pretending she doesn't feel things. If something hits her, it hits her publicly. There's no polished PR filter, no carefully worded statements. It's raw, it's chaotic, and it's often uncomfortable, but it's real in a way that makes people either ride hard for her or beg her to log off. Meanwhile, Blueface stayed cool. Almost too cool. The kind of calm that looks suspicious when you know someone's watching, laughing, cracking jokes, acting like the past was a season that already wrapped. And Jaidyn? She wasn't doing anything outrageous either, which somehow made it worse. She was composed, relaxed, presenting the exact contrast the internet loves to highlight. It felt intentional without being explicit. A chess move disguised as checkers. And that's where the real tension brewed, because this wasn't just about a man and two women. This was about narratives. About who looks stable, who looks messy, who looks like they won, and who looks like they're still fighting ghosts. Social media doesn't care about context. It cares about optics. And in that moment, the optics were ruthless. People started dragging Chrisean into it without her even speaking. Comment sections filled with comparisons nobody asked for. Jokes nobody needed. Opinions nobody earned. And every comment was another match tossed onto an already soaked fuse. By the time Chrisean finally reacted, the internet had already decided how it expected her to behave. Calm would be labeled fake. Anger would be labeled unhinged. Silence would be called weak. There was no winning lane, only different flavors of criticism. Which is exactly why what came next felt inevitable. Because when you push someone into a corner publicly, especially someone who's never been known for restraint, you don't get a quiet response. You get an eruption. You get emotion with no filter. You get someone reminding the world they're not a character in your storyline, they're a human with a breaking point. And that breaking point, it was seconds away. The live didn't just reopen old wounds, it broadcast them. It didn't just stir emotions, it dared them to surface. And as the internet leaned forward, refreshing feeds like a Dex waiting on a fix, one thing was painfully clear. This wasn't about jealousy. This wasn't about clout. This was about unresolved pain colliding with public spectacle. And once those two meet, there's no such thing as too far. Not online. Not with this history. Not with Chrisean Rock. The moment Chrisean finally broke her silence, the internet reacted like someone had pulled a fire alarm inside a packed mall. Everything stopped. Timelines refreshed. Group chats went viral. Because when Chrisean speaks after holding it in, it's never a whisper. It's a thunderclap with emotional shrapnel. And she didn't ease into it. No soft launch. No, let me explain. It was straight energy. The kind that tells you she'd been sitting with this, replaying that live in her head like a cursed ringtone. Her reaction wasn't polished, it was visceral. Hurt wrapped in sarcasm, anger dipped in humor, pain delivered with a smirk sharp enough to cut WI-V. Suddenly, it wasn't just Blueface and Jaidyn trending. It was the entire situation. Every old clip resurfaced like a zombie apocalypse of receipts. People dug up interviews, screenshots, arguments from years ago, lining them up like evidence in a courtroom that never closes. The internet loves nothing more than a storyline with lore, and this one had encyclopedias, not means hit first. They always do. Side-by-sides of Chrisean crying in past lives versus Blueface laughing on the new one. Dramatic captions. Overused reaction GIFs. Someone edited circus music over the livestream. Another slapped Olympic commentary over Chrisean's reaction like it was a competitive sport. It was brutal. It was hilarious. It was deeply unserious about very real emotions. Celebrities started circling the chaos like sharks who smelled engagement in the water. Nobody named names, of course. They never do. But vague tweets popped up, protect your peace. Some men never changed. Postpartum is real. Translation. Everyone had an opinion, and everyone wanted plausible deniability, and the fans. Oh, the fans were divided like a reality show finale. One side screaming that Chrisean was justified, triggered, and pushed to the edge. The other side rolling their eyes, calling it predictable, saying she should have known better than to react. Empathy versus exhaustion. Support versus judgment. A digital tug-of-war where nobody was actually pulling her out of the mess, just louder. Meanwhile, Blueface stayed quiet, suspiciously quiet, which somehow spoke louder than any response. Because when someone who normally loves attention suddenly goes ghost, people assume one of two things: guilt or strategy. And social media immediately decided it was both. Every second of silence turned into speculation. Was he enjoying the chaos? Was he letting Chrisean self-destruct while he played innocent? Was this whole live a calculated poke? The theories stacked higher than conspiracy boards. And Jaidyn's calm presence. That became its own controversy. People projected intention onto every smile, every word, every breath. Doing nothing somehow became doing too much. It started to feel less like a personal situation and more like a public referendum. On motherhood, on healing, on co-parenting, on emotional labor, on what women are allowed to feel publicly without being labeled unstable, and are allowed to feel publicly without being labeled unstable. Chrisean wasn't just reacting anymore, she was being dissected. And let's talk about timing, because the timing was evil. Postpartum emotions aren't a punchline, but the internet treats them like one. Chrisean was navigating one of the most vulnerable phases of her life while millions of strangers critiqued her reactions like judges on a talent show. Cry too much, over-dramatic, get angry, unhinged, laugh it off, fake healing. There was no acceptable response menu. The outrage ballooned. Think pieces started popping up like ads you didn't ask for. Why this is toxic, why we keep watching, why Chrisean deserves grace, why she needs accountability. Everybody suddenly had a degree in psychology and a minor in moral superiority. And right in the middle of it all, Chrisean kept posting, not explanations, not apologies, just raw emotion, cryptic lines, defensive humor, shots fired without naming names. The digital equivalent of pacing back and forth, talking out loud to yourself while the whole world listens. It wasn't neat, but it was honest, and honesty online makes people uncomfortable. Then came the comparisons. The internet's favorite blood. Sport, Jaidyn as the calm mother, Chrisean as the chaotic one, Blueface as the common denominator nobody wanted to talk about. It was giving Madonna whore complex with a Wi-Fi connection. One woman praised for restraint, the other punished for pain. And Blueface, floating between narratives like a ghost who somehow escaped judgment. The math wasn't mating, but that never stopped social media before. Every new post escalated things. Fans started tagging brands, labels, platforms. Protect her, deplatform him, get her help. She's doing this to herself. The internet didn't just watch the fire, it started throwing in gasoline-labeled hot takes, and through all the noise, one truth kept getting louder. This wasn't entertainment anymore. It was a collision between unresolved trauma and an audience addicted to spectacle. People weren't asking how this could end, they were asking how far it would go. Because once memes turn into movements and reactions turn into reckonings, there's no hitting pause. The situation had outgrown the original live stream. It had become a symbol of something bigger, uglier, and way too familiar. And as the outrage peaked, one question hung in the air like smoke after fireworks. What happens when the internet finally gets bored? But the damage is already done. By the time the dust started settling, if you can even call it, that the internet had already moved on to its next obsession. That's how it always goes. 1 minute, your pain is trending. The next, it's buried under a celebrity breakup, a leaked DM, or a rapper saying something outrageous for attention. But for the people actually living inside the mess, there's no next topic. There's just the aftermath. And the aftermath for Chrisean Rock hit hard. Because once the clips stopped circulating and the memes lost steam, what remained was a very real narrative shift. The public perception pendulum swung aggressively. Some people doubled down on their support, framing her as a woman pushed past her limits, reacting in real time to emotional triggers that never healed. Others hardened their stance, using the situation as proof that she was too unstable, too reactive, too much. Nuance got packed up and shipped out. Brands noticed. They always do. Silence from companies that once loved the engagement started feeling louder than rejection emails. Invitations slowed. Opportunities that thrive on chaos hesitated when the chaos stopped being entertaining and started looking uncomfortable. Viral fame is cute until it starts raising risk assessments. And Blueface, he stayed strategically distant. No dramatic clapbacks. No emotional confessionals. Just enough presence to remind people he was still around, but not enough to absorb the blast radius. It was a masterclass in letting someone else carry the emotional weight while you skate through the debris. Whether intentional or instinctual, it worked for him. Jaidyn Alexis continued on her path too, focused on her kids, her image, her lane, which only fueled more comparisons. The internet loves a contrast story. One woman rebuilding quietly, another processing loudly. The framing stuck, even though reality is never that clean. Healing doesn't look the same on everyone. But social media doesn't care. It picks a favorite aesthetic and runs with it. For Chrisean, the conversation shifted from what happened to what now. People started asking if she needed help, but not in a gentle way. More like a verdict. As if reacting emotionally disqualified her from growth. As if vulnerability was a crime and loud pain deserved punishment. And here's the uncomfortable part nobody wants to admit. The internet played a role in pushing her there. Every reaction rewarded with views. Every meltdown clipped and reposted. Every moment of distress turned into content. People screamed log off while refreshing her page. Concern and consumption got tangled beyond recognition. The situation also forced a broader reckoning one people hate having. Why are women expected to heal quietly? Why is emotional expression treated like instability when it's messy? And why does the man at the center of the storm always seem to walk away with fewer bruises? Those questions floated around for about 5 minutes before being drowned out by the next scandal. Accountability has a very short attention span online, but the impact lingered. Chrisean single quotes as name became shorthand again, not for her talent, not for her resilience, but for chaos. That's the trap. Once the internet decides your role, escaping it feels impossible. Every move gets filtered through the same tired lens. Smile too much, you're faking it. Stay quiet, you're spiraling. Speak up, you're doing too much. Yet despite all that, something shifted. Her tone changed, subtly, less reactive, more guarded. Not healed, just aware. Like someone who finally realized the stove is always hot, no matter how many times you touch it hoping it won't burn you again. Growth doesn't always come with glow-ups and inspirational captions. Sometimes it comes with exhaustion. The relationship dynamics changed too. Lines were drawn more clearly. The illusion of we're all good dissolved. Coexistence replaced chaos, not because everything was resolved, but because the cost of public implosion became too high to keep paying. Public opinion, though, still divided. It always will be. Some people moved from judgment to empathy, others from empathy to fatigue. The internet doesn't do redemption arcs unless they're packaged perfectly, and even then, it'll tear them down for sport. What this whole situation exposed wasn't just a messy triangle. It exposed how easily real people become entertainment, how quickly trauma turns into content, and how selective outrage can be. It showed how silence can be strategy, calm can be misread as innocence, and emotional expression can be weaponized against the person feeling it. And the wildest part, this probably isn't over, because stories like this don't end cleanly. They pause, they reset, they wait for the next trigger, the next live, the next moment when old wounds get poked in public again. The internet never forgets, it just waits. So while this chapter might be closing, the book is still wide open. And in a world where attention is currency and chaos pays dividends, one thing is certain: this wasn't the finale. It was just another reminder that some scandals don't fade. They hibernate. Alright, listen up, this is where you make your move. Drop into the comments and tell us, was Chrisean justified? Or did Blueface and Jaidyn know exactly how to push the chaos button? No fence sitting, no weak takes. This is your arena. If this story had you clutching your phone thinking, "This is wild," then smash that like button like it owes you rent. Don't tap it, obliterate it. Algorithms love energy, and we're giving them full voltage. And if you're not part of the crew yet, subscribe to Celeb Ruckus, because scandals like this don't wait, and neither do we. Turn notifications on unless you want to find out late while the chaos is already trending. Here on Celeb Ruckus, we expose fake calm, break down messy truths, and serve celebrity drama hotter than your morning coffee. If it's messy, outrageous, or unhinged, you know we've got the receipts and the commentary you didn't know you needed. So stay loud, stay nosy, and stay here, because peace is temporary, chaos is consistent, and the next viral scandal is already brewing. Remember, this drama didn't end. It just went quiet. For now, Celeb Ruckus, where celebrity chaos never sleeps.